Hey there, welcome back to Featherwood Farm. This is Darcy. We are in the courtyard area and I'm going to start the May garden tour. It's Mother's Day actually, so mid-May, and it's early in the morning, so hopefully we'll catch a lot of the bird noises and less of the traffic noises. So pardon the weeds in here. I haven't come through and weeded and mulched all of this yet, but isn't it just absolutely crazy how much this has grown since the last time I shared this? I mean, the last time I shared, it was nothing. Like, there was really nothing coming up, and I've got hostas unfurling, ferns unfurling all over, and the bugbane behind is lush and dense. It's great. And the heucheras are making a comeback. And pretty much all of this will fill out. And then same thing, this is more of the bugbane. I think this is its third year on both sides in this place, so it's pretty much at its full size, really filling out this whole corner, so much denser than it has been in previous years. It's great. And actually back here, I don't really know how this got here. I don't recall planting it, but I have a kind of random geranium tucked in that I should probably pull out before she's completely gone. Right here, these are another type of bugbane. These are the Hills Black Beauty or Black Hills Beauty. I always confuse the name. Lovely chocolatey foliage. This maidenhair fern isn't looking as great, but we'll see how it progresses throughout the year. That one back there does. That looks nice. And then some astilbes thrown back there. Right here is the Sun King Aurelia, and this is just getting going. This will fill out kind of this whole corner right here. And here are more geraniums. I believe these are just Geranium macarizum, just the straight species. This is the best this plant has ever done. I'm crazy impressed. I don't know what happens to it every year, but for whatever reason, they always stay kind of small like this one. But even this one is doing well, so I guess we'll keep them here. And back here are some of the native asters that have reseeded plentifully around. So I will come through and kind of thin some of those out. You see in the back, they're kind of crowding out some astilbes. And I did pull out the taller variety that got like over 6 foot last year, and I moved them to the back part of the property. So that'll be nice. This is a Mount Airy Fothergilla, and the blooms are just, they're so beautiful. And the foliage, I really love. I love the color. I love the texture. It's very highly textured. And they have a really sweet honey fragrance. But this has been here for 3 years. And if possible, it gets smaller every year. So while the plant itself, as it grows, looks fine, it doesn't put on any size. So this is not ideal. You know, I want it to kind of fill out this area, and that's not happening. So I will be removing that this year and putting something else in its place. Another Sun King Aurelia, and behind are a couple of goat's beards, which these, when you first plant, they start off kind of small and pitiful. They don't look like much, but if you're patient with them, they get very large and keep that growth and keep bulking up, and oh, they're a favorite. They're a really great shade plant. These are the Little Ditty Viburnums, which these are on my maybe remove list. This one is looking good, and this one looks really good. This one's okay, and then that one leaves something to be desired, but this is actually the best that they've looked. That's why I'm hesitant. In previous years, they haven't really foliated the way that I would assume that they should. They were quite sparse, but they're starting to get their flowers. And yeah, I'll think on it. I'll see how they do this year and think about it. I have a few of the later season daffodils just starting to emerge. We have these beautiful, oh, almost matches my nail polish, red outline centers. The lavender twist redbud has finished flowering and is starting to leaf out. And then kind of behind and beneath that, this is just a straight species woodland phlox. Really lovely presence this time of year. Blooms about the same time that creeping phloxes do, but this gets much taller, as you can see. I'd say it's about a foot to 18 inches. And these little clusters, not looking like much, are the Tough Stuff hydrangeas. This is one of my peonies that I thought might have been a goner after the roofing injuries, but it's going strong. It's behind the others, but it's trying. And these are the honeysuckles that got a little damaged. I didn't end up digging this one out because it very quickly started sending out new branches, and it feels good and snug in the ground. And these branches are going to come out and fill in kind of this area. And another Sun King Aurelia. Yes, and also, fortunately, the hellebores rebounded. And then there's a couple of Japanese painted ferns, which might just have to be the most beautiful. And lots of hostas mixed in there. This is an eclipse hydrangea. It's new this year or last year, I believe. And so it's a dark foliage hydrangea. This one looks a little icky because I actually ordered it online and it came fully leafed out and I didn't protect it one night. So it's a little ragged, but rebounding, putting on new growth. It'll be fine. And then the violas and artemisia, slowly growing, but honestly, by the time they fill that out, I might be swapping them for something that can tolerate the warmer temperatures a little bit better. The Chardonnay Pearls Deutzia, I think you can see why it is called that. It's just now starting to get its blooms. My anemones are filling in nicely and have actually reseeded, which I want. They don't reseed in my area as heavily as I know that they can for others. This is actually the first year that they have, and I think I've counted maybe seven plants that have come from it. So not much, but in the future moving forward, I will keep an eye on where they end up and thin as needed. And very green over here. So I need to do something about that still. This is the boxwood that got damaged. I want to kind of trim it up, and then I'm also going to relocate it into right here between these two Haas halos, or between the Haas halo and the limelight. And this is the coralberry that I put in last year in the autumn. It's looking really great, and it has almost a blue cast on some of this foliage. It's definitely a lighter lighter green and then blue cast on it. And I really love the look of the leaves, the size, the shape. And I'm very excited for it to kind of fill out this area, get its berries. It's gonna be beautiful. In good news, the Haas halos do look good. Despite receiving some damage, it didn't seem to slow them down much. They've kind of replaced what was taken from them. So that is awesome. I did pot up this little planter with 2 of the pumpkin spice heucherellas and a sedum. What is it? That lemon something sedum. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I can't think of it right now. I will post that. And here's another couple of shrubs that I'm thinking I'm going to pull out. These are, I think, a groundhug aronia, and I have 4 or 5 of them in the area. And these ones just get eaten back by rabbits so badly. And I mean, it honestly looks like I have a pile of sticks shooting out of the ground. They are kind of spreading. They are going, ideally they were going to kind of, form a little colony, a little wave through this area. But because these 2 really can't bulk up, I just here and there have some shoots from them that are like lots of gap in between. It doesn't look great. So I think those 2 I will relocate somewhere else. And then here's a little drift of astrantias. And right here, one of my favorite spring perennials. This is Tiarella cordifolia. This is the straight species. There are some lovely cultivars coming out on the market, but they have these absolutely beautiful white plume-like blooms that shoot up. And more back there. And then 2 more of those aronias. And you can see this one is having the same problem as the others. And I don't know if the best solution is just to remove them all and fill it with something else. I might do that instead. We'll see. Very happy to report that the American wisteria vine is alive. Looks great, has put on a lot of green growth. And as you can see right here, I'll have to start training it fairly soon, which means I need to kind of complete the structure. I need to complete the top, and I'm thinking I might put some things across the sides as well. We'll see. These aronias have since bloomed, and hopefully we will get some berries on these. I did see pollinators doing their thing. Aronia are edible, but they are bitter unless cooked. Chickens really been doing a number in this area, scratching up the poor tiny Virginias that I planted. Really did a number on some of the hostas coming through, but everything will rebound. And this is, I believe, the chocolate chip ajuga. This one is flowering later than the other variety that I have, and they're darker. So this will look really lovely. I love the way that these look. I'm thinking possibly I should put them somewhere else because they are so close to this variety and they do look different, and then I think maybe I'm overthinking it. But here you can see these ones. Dense, dense, dense flowers. And I put these in last year and they are doing their thing. They are gonna start spreading and covering this whole area, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted a dense ground cover. So really pleased with that. And these are those amber moon astilbes that we planted not that long ago, along with a couple of the heucheras. And I didn't realize that there was a hosta right here, so these two are becoming quite chummy. I don't know which one I'm going to move. I don't know if I'm going to move the astilbe or the hosta, but I need to make that decision very soon. This is my jade butterfly ginkgo starting to leaf out. They're a later to leaf out tree, so not too worried. And despite chickens throwing the tags all over, these bare roots, these are the geraniums, are coming up. And I have a few more placed of the Virginias that I want to get in. And sadly, these are my exposed crocus bulbs. Chipmunks have been coming through here and digging them all up and running off with them. So that explains why some from last year didn't come up. I wasn't sure what had happened. Over here on the other side, it's really bad. I mean, you can see that's just a empty hole now where crocus once were. I'm sure that they were generous enough to leave me a few, but it's not going to be the beautiful show that it was this year. And I'm going to read up and see if there's something that I can do to prevent them, because obviously that's not an ideal situation. I don't want to have to replace the crocus every year. These are the foxglove that I grew from seed last year, a little drift of them. They did not bloom last year. I did not get them in early enough, though they are a variety that can if you do start them early enough in the season. But they should bloom this year. And then I have a few Solomon's seal that are just starting to get their flowers. These were planted last year as well. The Jack Frost Brennera still got blooms on them. This is a new hellebore. I cannot recall the name. I got this on clearance not long ago. Pretty happy to find a hellebore on clearance. And yeah, there's still kind of a lot of blank area over here. I have a few Rudbeckias, a couple of hostas, but this is still an area I need to work with. Oh, and in sad news, I got a quote on removing this elm tree, recommended to me by the person who removed my other trees, because they have since stopped doing that in the few months since I had the others removed. And it was, for me, it was high. It was about $3,000 to remove this. And that is not what I budgeted. That was about 6 times what I paid for the others. So, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not an awful tree. Brandon and I are going to ourselves remove a couple of the larger dead limbs that are lower, just for safety reasons. This hangs over a power line. It hangs over our fence. So we will take out a couple ourselves, but the tree will remain for now. And here are the Astrantia bare roots that we got planted, doing really well. Dandelion lived its best life. And this lemony lace elderberry looks great. things are starting to fill out, and that is making me so incredibly happy. More of those geraniums. This is I believe it's called creme de menthe, variegated dogwood. I'm thinking this would be a nice spot for that. So I'll get that planted here in the near future. And this is all that seed yarrow that I transplanted over here a couple years ago. And I'm actually going to, no, it wasn't a couple years ago, it was last year. But I'm actually going to remove this. It's reseeding way too much, and I don't think it gets quite enough sun in this area to produce strong blooms. So the last thing I want is kind of it to essentially turn into a ground cover. That's not what I'm looking for in this space. So that will go, and that's not really a major loss because again, I grew that from seed. Not really worried. Big changes will be happening in this section. I had, when I first put in this hedge, left this open. I wanted this to be a pathway, and I thought I was going to kind of do something that meandered out, wrapped around this dogwood, and maybe, I don't know, went over. And then I just wasn't feeling it, couldn't actually think of a plan for it. Ultimately, I decided I'm going to move this Kusa dogwood, and then I'm going to close this gap, get a couple more sprinter boxwoods, plant those there, and plant in this area so it will no longer be kind of this wide path. I purchased this dogwood. I believe it is a Cornus controversa, and the name is Jamie, and I could not really find anything online about it, which isn't great. Just looking at it, it looks like more of a shrub form dogwood, which would be ideal, and dogwoods in general are quite slow growing, so I don't anticipate this taking over anything anytime soon, but I really loved the habit of it. And I like dogwoods in general, and I figured since I'm removing that one, I'll replace it with this one. And you see it has some variegation on the newer leaves. It's a lot lighter, and then it kind of fades on the older leaves. And this will be flowering soon as well, it looks like. So I'm thinking this is the general area that I want to put it in. All of the hyacinths have since gone over. This is the Calamagrostis avalanche featherweed grass. It's variegated. I did get more plugs of this in addition to the few mature plants that I have, but it's a cool season grass. It's my favorite. It is so beautiful. And it gives a striking contrast to, for example, the penstemons behind it, which are a dark foliage, the solid green of that boxwood. Yeah, it's my favorite. You can see we've got some moist conditions over here. I've got a bit of a mushroom farm going on. I couldn't tell you what kind they were, and they're not harming anything, so they'll stay. This is the other lemony lace elderberry. Despite having a little bit of dieback, it's still filling out nicely. And I will be relocating these two nepidas because this one fills out this area all on its own. It does not need help from the other two. These were divisions that I took last year. So they're ready to go to a new place. And then in the front here are the white wands Veronica and some Magnus echinacea, the variegated little angel Sanguisorba, which is trying to do what I wanted it to do. This is, meant to be kind of a ground cover as well and fill out, and they're starting to spread. It's just happening a little bit slower. And then more of those Black Hills Beauty Bugbanes right here, and then I kind of have a large gap in the center that I need to put something, and I'm just trying to think of what would look ideal there. Go through what I have, and I might possibly have to purchase something for the space. We'll see, because it is a lot of dark foliage. I had a wine and spirits Weigella that I thought would look nice here, but that's also dark foliage, and I feel like that might be too much, but I will think on it. I picked up the 2 fluffy arborvitae for the corner over here in the redbud garden. Just have to get those in yet, and fingers crossed that my brazen plan works. These are still some of the perennials that I have to get in the ground that I had taken out from over here as I've been reworking. And because you can never have too many plants, I was really in a dark foliage mood at my trip to the nursery, and I got 3 dark rider geraniums. Boom Chocolata is the newest dark foliage geranium, but I was drawn to dark rider. And then this is a Persicaria red dragon, and this is grown more for its foliage rather than the blooms, though it does get blooms. And I got 2 lobelias, and these are Queen Victoria, and I mean that is just a really striking color. And lobelias like moist conditions, and I have plenty of those, so hopefully they do well. I didn't get too many of the lobelia or the Persicaria just because it'll be kind of a first for me, and I want to see how they do before I were to purchase more. But here is the recently made over area in the redbud garden. Everything is doing well. Obviously, I still need to mulch. The clematis, the Jackmanii clematis, is really needing some taming. I need to get out here and tie some pieces onto that trellis. Blue Globe spruce is looking lit up with the new growth. That's very exciting. That is so exciting for me. And the new multi-stem serviceberry starting to leaf out. A couple of the newly planted bugleweeds are even starting to spread and send off their little runners, so that's great. And is that not like just a beautiful little combo right here? Blue kazoo spirea just kind of draping over this stone. Love that. Pretty large drift of daisies that I should have split and didn't, but next year. It's always next year. And the autumn gold ginkgo is also starting to leaf out. Again, a little bit slower than others. These are the Starstruck Amsonia. They get these really beautiful blue star-shaped blooms on those. Quite lovely. And yeah, this area is still going to be under construction. because we need to show the bad as well as the good. This is a spilled wine Weigella that I think it just gets too wet over here for it. These branches are dead. It does have new growth coming out, and that branch survived. But I will be removing this because she's clearly not happy. And we can put that somewhere else, somewhere that doesn't get so inundated. Over here, not a whole lot to see yet. Still reworking this area. And all over here is still quite wet and mucky because it rains every other day. And so just when you think it's going to dry out, more rain. I was able to get some of the soil brought back here and really try to build this area up a lot. I struggle with a lot of bindweed over here, and I just do my best at keeping up on pulling it and not allowing it to flower and go to seed. But yeah, I mean, it's a job. I'm going to try to use some horticultural vinegar on the stems and see if that helps. So this is interesting. These are 3 tiny wine gold 9-barks, and this one is doing great. This one is doing okay. That one is struggling. And my theory is it's a reaction to the juglone, the walnut toxicity, because right here I now have, I think it's the ice crystal oak leaf hydrangea. When I did have a red twig dogwood there, the red twig dogwood all but died. There is one branch of new growth coming from the roots, and that's it. So I pulled that and we'll put that somewhere else. And so dead, not great, you know, it's getting better that way. And this would be, you know, closer proximity to where that walnut tree was last year. And last year it just threw tons of actual walnuts, and you know, as it loses its leaves, this is where the litter falls and then gets sparingly more that way. So that's my only working theory as to why 3 of the exact same shrubs in the exact same area could be doing differently. Yeah, if anybody else has ideas, let me know. But I think that that's it. And so now that the walnut tree is removed, I'll kind of monitor how this does. I also got more soil brought into here. I had mentioned before that this is an area that gets pretty inundated. So I am in progress of kind of reworking this as well, as you might be able to tell. I am going to remove that lilac, and it's going to go on the other side of the greenhouse because the other side does not get all that wet. And I have plans for what's going to go there. It's actually that arborvitae right there behind it. So not a whole lot to see in there yet, but it is going to be great. And actually I picked up this bench from the flea market last weekend and gave it a coat of spray paint, and that is going to go kind of over here in front of the fence somewhere as soon as I get the fence finished and stained, which is seeming like it is a real possibility that it might happen. How exciting. Here's a bit of a mess. Plants still out. These are the ranunculus that I've been harvesting from. This bed of lavender is looking well enough. The chickens did not destroy this one. And this bed has 1 living plant left. So once the fence is finished and I can keep my chickens out, I will be replacing all of that. And the window planters that we put up are looking really great. both of them. The Super Tunia lattes are blooming. They're beautiful, and yeah, they look exactly how I thought they would with these sweet potato vines. Oh, and these are a Goodwill find, these lanterns, and I do want to keep this one here, and I'm thinking of putting like candles in there or solar lights, maybe like a remote controlled solar light. They're awesome. I think it looks really great in front of the greenhouse. I got 2 of them, and that one's just hanging on a extra hook that I had. I'm debating whether I want it to flank the other side or if I want it to go somewhere else. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, they're awesome. And again, still not a whole lot to see over here, but I do have this little viburnum that I planted last year is in full bloom, and I mean, this little guy is packed full of blooms. So that was really exciting. This obelisk is another flea market find from last weekend that I painted in the same color as that bench. And I just ordered a few clematis to put on some of the trellises that I have and obelisks. So one will be going on that. This is a Duchess de Montebello rose. It's almost ready to open. So excited. And my pile, let's see, of shrubs and perennials that I purchased at the end of year last year is dwindling. These are the snowball viburnums, which are blooming. Quite lovely. They're, I think, referred to as like the hydrangeas of the spring. And we just shared this area in a recent video, so not much more to see. Maybe a little bit more growth in the veggie patch right here. The bare root strawberries are taking off and looking really lovely. These are not staying here. I got these on clearance last year and was testing them out, but the size is completely disproportionate. So, not staying there. This is a patio peach bonfire that we actually found at Home Depot. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's foliage. Unreal. So I just got this potted up, and tons of little peaches on this thing. And Brandon already went through and thinned out a lot of them, but might have to thin out some more. And the pipe monstrosity is gone, and we are instead left with kind of a patchy mess now. We're gonna bring some of the soil, level it all out, fill in some of the little craters, and then seed. But we fixed our French drain, and oh my goodness, so happy to have that whole mess gone. Alliums looking lovely, popping up through here. I'm realizing I need to get a lot more. I believe these are serendipity, and kind of place them all the way around. I have a little patch right there, but yeah, they really need to be throughout this whole fire pit garden. Okay, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned it before. This was, I think, a snowdrops crabapple that got very heavily rutted on in the ground. I didn't protect it. Completely my fault. I thought it was a goner. This was last year. But I saw a little bit of growth from the bottom and decided to put it in this planter last year. And so now it has all of this. It even flowered this year. We've missed it, but you can see the spent ones. Oh, and the little crab apples starting to form. But I kept it here because this is where I have my bird feeders, and the birds like absolutely love just coming and sitting on this. So I didn't have the heart to move that. So there it shall stay. Oh, and let's just swing over here real quick. This is what those goats' beards potentially will look like in a couple of years. I mean, that is just a lush, beautiful plant. And this is the walkway that I put in. Matching flagstone is no joke. That is a serious business. It is a task for sure. And once I mulch in this area, I'll kind of bring a bit of soil, fill in the spaces. The mulch will be built up to the edges and it'll look a bit cleaner, but pretty happy with how it turned out. Everything that we got in over here is still doing well. Actually, the nepidas are starting to bloom, so that's a good sign. The fountain makes me smile daily. And same thing with this little walkway. It'll all get filled in. I will likely not be planting anything up here, just because I have to kind of walk in through there. Maybe on the sides I might. I don't know, it'd have to be something pretty tough because the chickens like use this as a throughway. I still have to finish this little walkway. I kind of forgot that I even use that. Because I don't very often, but in the times that I do, it'll be nice to have the walkway there. But yeah, everything is looking good. And I mean, possibly even putting on a bit of growth. The nepidas and the alliums. The alliums are it's gonna take a bit longer, but everything's looking great. And this is actually where I was thinking I might put one of those solar lights, the ones that I have on the gate posts of the cottage garden. I think I might put a post in the ground like here, or maybe on this side, and stick it on there, and that'll really like up the park feels, I think. But and so that's kind of where the garden stands right now. I'm pretty happy with all the changes that I've made so far. It all looks so great. And honestly, I'm just looking forward to the rain stopping long enough so that I can get out and continue improving the beds. But thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you in the next video.